Maybe and
Live from the mighty Veedverks Airship, I'm Travis Lippert, CEO of Verks Unlimited Limited.
Hi, I'm Julie Richardson.
And then
We have some amazing guests. We are going to have so much fun today. I have been so excited. I couldn't sleep. This is amazing. My friend, Dr. Regina Nelson and Michelle Wright. And we're going to just kind of back off and let y'all talk about why you're here today. And then we're going to try to raise some money.
Yeah, we are. Thank you guys for having us here. Go ahead,
Cool.
Michelle.
So, thank you. I'm Michelle Wright. And I'm going to be interpreting today. I am not a certified interpreter. I am a volunteer with Dr. Regina Nelson. And her project is called Signs for the Times. Signs for the Times.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm the president of the ECS Therapy Center. It's a nonprofit organization, and we're raising awareness and funds for Signs for the Times. For example, I guess we would say currently there are few established signs for American Sign Language to communicate about either medical cannabis or hemp. For example, the term endocannabinoid system must be hand-spelled letter by letter, as you can see. Also, the most common sign for marijuana is kind of a toking sign. For medical cannabis patients, such as families with children who have epilepsy that use cannabis oil, which also has no common sign, the toking sign really just isn't appropriate. Yeah, so there's a need for some formal language to be developed, and we hope to help on that. Signs for the Times is bringing together a team of certified deaf professionals this October in Denver. This team of certified deaf professionals will engage in education and training about medical cannabis and hemp. Their goal will be to develop a glossary in sign language for communication about cannabis. As you can see, these are really difficult conversations. So we're hoping that you will reach out and support Signs for the Times. And that's our message today. Thank you, Michelle, for your help. Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And I appreciate,
Can we do it one more time, or was that live?
That was live.
Oh, that was live. There you go.
That was
It was
live.
good. It was good. It was a good one. So I'm like,
It was fine. And the thing about this is Michelle is not currently working in
I'm
the
not
deaf
working as an
community.
interpreter. This
but
is why-
she has experience in this area, and I asked her to join us just for the fact that we really wanted to show people how difficult communicating about cannabis and sign language is.
And that was profound. That was almost like, remember back in school where your teacher said we needed to be quiet for a minute, and you realized how long it really took, to do that and to say that, and how important this is, that we get this in the language.
Right. Well, this is a project that was brought to me by a volunteer for the ECS Therapy Center. It's taken us 3 years to get to the point of being able to bring together a team of certified deaf professionals who want and have an understanding of the need for them to really develop language around this. They understand that there are these gaping holes and that it can be difficult. So we're just helping facilitate this. You know, we're not in that field, we're not there, but we can help others. And that's really the goal. You know, again, the ECS Therapy Center is a public nonprofit. It is a 501c3 organization recognized by the IRS. And my goal has long been for it to be a public organization. I report to a board of directors and, you know, and, but it's all volunteer. I'm volunteering all of my time. And I've committed to raising funds to cover their travel expenses. We have these professionals, again, who are willing to donate very valuable time on grants where they're given money to develop medical language and work on an American Sign Language project. They're paid hundreds of dollars an hour.
Right.
And we are not raising those kind of funds.
Right.
We're raising it to cover them
Bare
flying
bones.
here, staying
Yes.
at an Airbnb. We're hosting the event in New Volutions Community Center, which I'm thrilled about. We are looking for some cannabis chefs to come in, hopefully, and provide some lunches. And we're hoping some, you know, to get some other donations and things around that. But we're trying to raise enough money this week to cover the last 3 airline tickets and a deposit for the Airbnb. So we're hoping that, you know, with your viewers' help, we're going to get some stuff done today, and
That's
we're really
right.
excited. So thank
the
you for
link-
having us.
The link is in the intro. Let's get some money and get this together, because I got really excited about this when you started telling me all the different places you were going to take these interpreters and the education that they were going to get. So
Yeah, when people say education, we were laughing about this. She was like, when people say cannabis education and training in Colorado, there's an eye roll that goes with that. We're doing research and take out the slice signs, you know.
right.
But the truth of this is that, you know, again, these are professionals and they need to really, this language is used a lot of different ways.
right.
And so is it a doctor-patient communication? Because some interpreters go to doctor's appointments with hearing impaired patients.
Right.
And where they need to talk about the endocannabinoid system or how they're using the medicine, various delivery methods besides smoking it.
Right.
You know, again, using cannabis oil and other things. Are they farmers? I've come to find that we have a CBD farm down in Puebla that is being farmed by a couple of deaf brothers.
Wonderful.
And so we're hoping to be able to get transportation donated so that we could take them down there so they could see a working deaf hemp farm and really from those brothers understand more about language than sitting through training with me that is closed captioned.
Right.
And they get the opportunity to meet with peers. We're going to be having panel discussions. We're taking field trips. We're going to a cultivation. Dank has offered their cultivation facility
good.
and their dispensary. But we could do other things. We really need funding. We're going to need to rent a van, probably
Right.
2. And to be able to take people and so they can have this opportunity. Really, that's what we're doing is we're giving them base education. And they are going to then use that to develop what they learn, to work together as a team, to develop sign, and a video glossary is an eventual outcome that we would love to share publicly and for free with as many people as want to share that.
Well, are they going to be here during the conference?
They
are
a
going
couple of people are coming for the MJ for MDs conference. The difficulty there is how do we interpret for them? They're deaf professionals. So
Right.
providing that service, while it's an ADA accommodation requirement, we've reached out to the sign language groups in this area and they understand the difficulty as well. And while their organizations, again, federal state divides and other things, are concerns that this could somehow, they shouldn't necessarily come out supportive. Individual members of those teams are coming. We have people who are going to be interpreting for us. We're always going to have 2 to 4 interpreters on hand so that people like Michelle who'd rather speak in casual conversation don't
Right.
have to, you know, feel like they need to be precise and right on it. But they also can stop me at times and say, hold on, we need to,
Right.
you know, catch up. But I'm very, you know, blessed with this. We are receiving a lot of support. Colorado Normal is coming into support and they're
Nice.
coming to the classes. Veedverks obviously
Yes,
is
we're
coming
very
in and
supportive of this.
Florence and many other groups. So Yes, to all those things. Yes, they're coming to MJ for MDs. We will be there with a booth. They've been generous to donate a booth to us to raise awareness here, and I'll be speaking at the conference about the Science Times for the Times Project.
And it's so exciting, and it's just so perfect that you're the doctor that brings this, because you're the doctor that talks about communication with doctors, and you're bringing a whole different, we had someone on last week that was bringing in the Jewish community, and I have people from the Latino community reaching out, and it's so beautiful.
Well, it really is beautiful. And I'm a social scientist. And again, people forget that my PhD is really in ethics and social justice. It's not in cannabis. Though my topic of social justice was cannabis. So and I was a sick and desperate patient. So that led me to a lot of things like becoming a dosing expert. But the pieces of that really are that as a social justice major, how society changes, when it changes and it normalizes something like cannabis use, that comes through language, and we hear that in our language. If you probably went back to your earlier shows, even in months and over a course of years, you can really tell how your language has changed. But we were talking about the word marijuana the other day. I was talking about this with somebody, and I'm like, I use that so rarely, it stands out, Well, and I use it when I'm using a slang term. Yeah. And I want to make it a slang term, meaning, they think that's marijuana. Okay, which comes with all the implications of that. Again, I'm a trial. You got to remember, in Oklahoma, they think that's marijuana. They're not understanding that I had medical needs. Yeah. And, particularly around the topical products that they have
it's a horrible racial slur,
and it is that kind of thing. So I do use the term, but again, I often go into states like Oklahoma where this is new and people aren't that educated yet, so they're not using the term cannabis as frequently as they will. And that's the thing, we'll notice that change because as people get more educated, they hear it more, they say it more, it becomes much more common. Well, to empower people, you got to have this in all languages. And so part of the outcome of this project is not just the sign language component. I actually am going to be inviting you guys and a lot of others into an online glossary project, because we are putting together definitions around textual words like endocannabinoid system, cannabinoid receptor, cannabidiol, THC. And we have different groups that have volunteered their services around the world. I've had people from Germany. I've had people with different Spanish dialects, both from Spain and Mexico, offered to help translate those. And we hope to have them translated into Braille as well.
Well, we have somebody that just joined. And if you're watching and you haven't said anything, every time we see somebody mention something, we have some prizes to give away. So share this. Let's get some people on here. We need to raise some money. Corey's on there. Corey, you are the first person. Hey, Corey, happy to see you. Let's talk about the bundles. You've got a new book out.
I do.
And this is really exciting to me. And got to excuse them. I've got little notes in here. I totally prepared for this. A little OCD about it. When I went to talk to my doctor about cannabis, it was initially something that I was going through. I took a notebook and basically charted, and that's what I tell people to do. Chart how you use this, and it really, that's what started me. If I had had this, I would have probably bought this for my doctor. Getting to the delivery systems that you were just talking about, all of the different delivery systems that you have listed here. Now, you have many people smoke cannabis, but instead they prefer to use tinctures, cannabis oil, suspensions, topical, transdermal, cannabis-infused edibles, vaporizers. That is a lot.
Right.
That is a lot.
Right. Well, we didn't even go into all the different concentrates and all the different ways, but those are basic delivery methods that are all very possible.
And I'm thinking of, there's got to be, because we, in the pharmaceutical industry, they're sublinguals, you know, so that evidently must be completely signed out as well. So,
well, you know, we're starting to see a lot of nano emulsification products, things that when people are starting to say, oh, look, my CBD is water compatible. Are you seeing CBD infused water? This is not, but I've had plenty of them. And it is that thing of, okay, hold on, explain this to me, because I know that cannabinoids are fat. And it was when I went to the International Cannabinoid Research Society, I always talked to the pharmacists there, and that's a very common practice in pharmaceuticals, and it actually gives you a much better uptake. So this is really a good process that's now moved from the pharmaceutical industry into the cannabis industry, and people are finding they can use smaller amounts and get a much better uptake and get some immediate relief because it's water compatible. It's not water soluble, but it is water compatible.
Right. Well, and it's interesting that you even have, you know, since we're on that subject, here's the top 20 tips.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's where we go in the microdosing. There's a doctor that's coming to that conference, and that's what she's been researching is microdosing.
Yeah, a lot of people are. Well, we do see some people that have a real sensitivity to THC. And so starting them with, and keeping them with these 1 milligram, 2 milligram doses, that works real good for them. And they see an endocannabinoid system response from that little dose. Some people need more than that. Not everybody, you know, again, we're all different types of people, and we have different things, I think, wrong and broken with our endocannabinoid systems. But starting people comfortably is always the big thing for me. I hate to hear about somebody who comes to this new and has a bad experience. They get, you know, and that, you don't want that for your grandmother or your aunt, or you don't really want that for anyone. So I've even had people in this industry that have taken too much, and it's, you know, stepped them back for a while. And you can have, again, because of the anxiety that comes with it and what it produces within you personally, can be quite terrifying. And when I talk to people about taking a choline supplement, should those things happen, and not enough people talk about that. But I think it's a really great thing that just helps knock that out if it does happen, and it does happen, unfortunately. But the main thing is if you're starting them slowly with very small doses, doing a really good bridge. You know, again, we're talking about doing the bundles in your Amelia product. It's that thing of, we were talking about, the book is great for your grandmother to read, and so is a nice bridge to a nice CBD topical, because that's not how she's thinking of using cannabis. She's thinking of marijuana.
Yeah, she's thinking we're going to roll her up one or something.
And that's not necessarily the case. And that's the thing that really helps in the long term, is so that people can understand this. And it may be that, you know, later you move her to one that is also infused with THC, but that may not be the case.
Well, in my now favorite book of yours,
which one's that?
This one.
That's the newest.
Yes, this is the newest one. This is the newest one that must
Survivor's
have.
Guide to Medical Cannabis.
You talk about using it in different forms and the importance of it. And this is, you know, we get asked this all the time. You know, my own sister called me and wanted to know this. She goes, well, if I use the topical, will my pain go away? And I was reading, you were talking about a skin problem, and it was the same answer I gave it. No. You need to address this, you know.
Yeah, you got to address it internally.
You got to get it in your body.
But you can put it right on.
Yeah,
maybe the pain does go away.
Yeah.
Or at least diminishes. But the main thing is you need to be addressing that underlying issue. Again, the endocannabinoid system is about homeostasis and balance in the body. Any kind of outward sign that you're having, like psoriasis or a rash or hot flashes for menopausal women, these are all symptoms of things. And how can you, you know, if cannabis can be helpful to so many of them, if you again layer your treatments. And that's what I talk about, is not just using in one way. We know, you know, smoking again is great. People who come to this that have smoked cannabis in the past, they're easy to bridge into it. But they can't just smoke. You can't get to a therapeutic dose by smoking alone. So if you're really going to focus in on being a patient, you have to begin using it in other ways. You need to begin ingesting it, you know, vaporizing it may be more helpful. You may find, again, the topicals are just something that I talk to people about all the time, because almost no matter what your problem is, the topicals can be hugely helping, and your skin is your largest organ.
Well, with our Amelia, that's 5 milligrams per pump. You know, so that is a measurable dose with our Amelia. In you know, you could add
people are looking for that type of consistency, so they know what they need.
Yeah, because, you know, it goes along with talking to your doctor. You know, doctors, you have to speak their language, and all of that's charts and how much and how many milligrams and, you know, and having that language. So we're going to talk about language. We're going to talk about this book. And we've put together a little package for this. And this is the first package. It's called The Talk. And you get in the talk, so you get the book. You get one of Flora's teas. Can you hold that
I
up?
sure can. I love these teas. I had some of the chamomile the other night and the yerba mate in the next morning. Very nice.
Yes. And she is so generous. If you go to any of the marketing meetings, that she is so good to Nuvolution and providing the teas. But this layering effect, that's the new book. It's going to include, we carry this individually on our website, and this is our Honest Hemp line, and it's H-Hemp.
Nice.
And it's 500 milligrams in peppermint and lemon.
That's a really great starter pack for somebody.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's on the website, ready to go.
Great.
In a little website.
At Veedverks.com, right?
Veedverks. And today, the proceeds are going towards...
Hey, get on there and buy a bundle, and the proceeds will help.
Yes.
Signs for the Times.
Yes. So that was exciting to do, but that's one. And then we have another one that we put together. And since you called this your Survivor's Guide, I put together a Survivor's Guide. So that's your book.
Awesome.
And then we get a tea. And we get...
You got to try this tea.
It's it's amazing. Well, I talked to Chris today that I told her I needed a hospitality table.
Oh.
For Veedverks. We do. And in that one, we're going to include her 250. So that's going to get you, that's your Survivor's Guide.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice. That gives you a nice little way to layer.
Yes.
You can use your tincture sublingually. You can take your tea and drink it as an edible. And you have your topical.
So there's your layering.
And
the
and
CBD.
one more thing is good. Is it in the
I forgot. Yes, this is in the Survivor's Pack.
Oh, look at that.
'Cause
And
we
CBD isolate.
Now,
And if you don't vaporize, there's a lot of other things you can do with
Make
this.
cookies.
That are great.
If
you
you
can.
so this has 1 gram of isolate in it. So if you make a cookie batch that has 48 cookies, call it 50. 1,000 milligrams divided by 50 cookies is 20 milligrams a cookie, which is really a nice amount of CBD for a lot of people.
Perfect.
and on our website...
and we'll throw in a cookie recipe.
Yes. Good. And that shows how to use it. You can make your own topical out of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, me
Can I
too.
just... I'm going to complain about this for the next probably 8 months. I already jacked up this finger, and now I smashed my other finger, and so every time I hold something up, I feel self-conscious.
Well, I've got this really nice little
green
nail
screen,
lady that can help you out. Wouldn't that be fun? We'd go live. Let's go get pedicures and manicures.
Get a mani-pedi.
Get a mani-pedi. But that's a lot of stuff. And so
It is.
we
That's
bundled
great.
it together, and it's 15% off. And so our price would be, I need prices on these. So that's another package. And you can keep it all for yourself. And Christmas is coming, so...
$149.95 for that.
All right. And so they are saving how much?
They're saving a lot off of 167.
Okay. Normally 167 down to...
$149.95.
$149.95. That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
That's a lot of stuff. Now, the isolate, you can put it in smoothies. You can go ahead and make it into oil and put it into other things. You don't necessarily have to make cookies with it.
Right.
Some people, personally, this is in my medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
I'll take a little
Me
bit
too.
of it and put it on my gums if
Me
I have a
too.
headache. And
That's a good idea, yeah.
instant.
Yeah,
It's
that's a
instant.
great idea.
I give it to my dogs when they're having seizures too.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
Just as quick.
Yeah.
So it's in my medicine cabinet, and if you need a survivor's guide, that's
Awesome.
So, yes.
That's a great survival pack.
Yeah.
All right, and the last one is the big package, and that's all 4 of your books, this is the only one I don't have.
Oh,
the
we
only
got
one I
them over
don't
here.
have.
The Florist at
Oh,
Large.
you don't have the Theorist at Large one. Make sure you get a
And so
copy of
medical cannabis.
that. And
Time
then
for the
this
talk.
one, yeah.
And that one.
And the medical cannabis recommendations. So these are all really different books, The Theorist at Large was the first book I ever wrote, and I put together, it's a compilation of the essays that I did during kind of the first half of my doctoral journal, and then some of the articles that I wrote that were in different cannabis publications like Ladybug magazine and stuff like that online.
Right.
And then I put together the ECS Therapy Companion Guide, the Survivor's Guide. The newest book is an updated version of that, a lot more information, but it was that thing of, I was at the point of understanding how to explain dosing to people. And I did that right as I was asked to go from Colorado, where it's great and comfortable, to Illinois, to a new medical cannabis patient market and do some education. And Time for the Talk came out of that experience because they don't have the same type of access to evaluation centers that we do here. And so patients were forced to talk to their own personal physicians and trying to help them bridge that. And I was batting 100% for doctors giving the patient a recommendation while they were there, from educating them with this.
Right.
And it became that thing of, like, don't tell anybody else, but I'll do it because this is good information. And that prompted me to go on and do my dissertation and talk to doctors and patients all over the country about the recommendation process. And so this is the research the ECS Therapy Center put out last year, and I toured the country and talked about, but it's a really good look at the recommendation process from doctors and patients, because it's a lot more obstacles, a lot more things to think about than you think of. So it's informative in its own way.
Well, this is mine, and I had to go into the hospital for some tests. And I took this book with me, and I put it on that rolly table. And I, made sure it was visible when the doctors came in. And they all looked at it. And my neurologist is interested in coming to the conference.
Oh, very good.
But in this, I wish every doctor could have this, because you go into one of the biggest things that doctors are talking about is the fear of losing their license.
Right.
They're afraid to have the conversation.
Right, and that's protected.
Yeah.
It's a protected conversation.
Especially if they are a state-funded or a federally funded, facility, they are terrified to have that conversation with you. And so we have the majority of patients that know more about it than their doctors do.
Oh, absolutely. It's a cultural phenomenon like we haven't had with anything else. Again, particularly around, the endocannabinoid system. How do we have such a vital system to a human being, and patients tend to know more about it than doctors.
Right.
And so it's time for that to change, and we're seeing it change in that while many of the doctors still can't recommend, they will listen and they will document. The one thing that I guarantee people is if a patient comes to cannabis therapy, their pharmaceutical needs will change.
Right.
And that is up to that doctor to manage and help you manage appropriately.
Right.
And so you have to be vocal in that conversation.
Well, and I don't want to keep bringing up this medical conference coming up, but that's something else, because there is drug interactions. Like if you prepare for surgery, you have to get off blood thinners and what have you. Well, guess what? Cannabis oil in a tincture does, and so you have to include that. And one of the things with me is lowering the seizure threshold, having to get off my medicine, and the dangers. So, to be able to, for them, they don't have any idea.
Right.
So, I don't know which one of these books I would want to take to my doctor first. But you have your mission statement. I got so tickled when I read this one. Now, the talk one, you're suggesting we give this to the loved ones in our life.
A lot of people do. That is probably the most, when I sell them, they're typically, I'm going to give this to my aunt, I'm going to give this to my grandmother, my mom, my dad, my brother, my brother the doctor, or somebody in their life, because I'm usually at an event where the people there are being educated about cannabis, but there's somebody in their life that still doubts that this is true. Right. And so this helps them bridge that.
Well, I just thought it was really sweet that you have a section, aunties, grandmas, and so I put a little sticky note that, and this is sign language, the language of cannabis, talking to each other about this and having those, conversations with our loved ones. These are languages of love.
They are
and
languages of love.
absolute languages of love. And you think about cannabis and how it's brought in some of the best friendships in your life. You know, I know it has me. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And well, tell about the first time you got high, Michelle. This is a great story
The-
that you should share.
The first time I ever used cannabis was with a deaf friend.
Nice.
And it was when I was actually just learning sign and went to hang out with a friend for the weekend, and he pulled out a bong. I know. And it was great. It was a wonderful time. A wonderful time was had by all.
It just builds that bridge.
It does.
They've definitely got like a connection in my heart.
There you
Just
go.
a little bit.
Well, but yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the connections that came to me, I have taken American Sign Language classes, you know, back in community college days and things like that. But I can do the alphabet, but it doesn't stick real well. I've been picking new things up again, but what I came to realize was two things. One, we have again a lot of children with epilepsy that have, you know, as you know, through American Cannabis medical refugees.
Right. Which we're very
that
much involved
many of these children, a significant percentage, are nonverbal, and so their parents teach them basic sign language. You know,
Right.
thank you. And
Yes.
More food,
yeah, more food. Yeah,
bathroom,
bathroom.
basics.
Yeah, basic.
Wait, how do you say bathroom?
Then you shake it.
You
It's a
tinkle.
tea. It's
Like
a tea.
tea.
You get
Yeah.
a tinkle.
Or toilet if you're not 3.
Yeah. Okay, come on. I'm a doctor who's 3. But when I moved to Illinois, again, we came up against a lot of obstacles, and they had a very restrictive medical cannabis program. But I came to understand they had one qualifying condition called superior canal descendants syndrome. And why they have it is when somebody petitioned in some other state for it, very few people suffer from this, but it is treatable with medical cannabis. And so not only can anybody have any medical condition and be hearing impaired, but
Right.
we have specific conditions that cannabis is known to be helpful with bone formation.
Right.
And the cartilage in the ear is a type of bone. And so helping that not break down so quickly.
Right.
Michelle, I think you tell, you know, I don't, your brother was given a diagnosis on a different condition when he was young.
Right.
But it's this thing, if when you know you're going to lose your hearing, if you can do something that's rather helpful and benign,
Certainly.
that will help you keep your hearing maybe longer, I think, you know, it's a good thing.
I agree with you to an extent. I feel as though there's a large portion of the deaf community that really take a lot of pride in
Absolutely.
being deaf and having that culture and having that community. And I
Absolutely.
think that at that point there's no desire to there's nothing to fix.
No.
You know?
Oh, and I
There's-
don't disagree
there's-
with that. I don't
yeah.
think people are broken, but I do think that,
Right.
you know, I think I've talked to people who've gone from hearing to non-hearing versus people who've been non-hearing their
Their whole
entire, and there are differences
Oh,
in some, and usually, again, with a diagnosis of any kind, we're going to lose anything. We're all a little taken back by that. But
yeah.
I've had many friends that have not only come to deal with hearing loss, but vision loss, you know, and again, these things are, you know, important things, and they, again, very comfortable
Yeah.
now that they're there and they've been accepted into a community, and they
Totally.
now can learn, you know, they had other people who could educate them.
Yes.
And again, not people, I'm an educator, but I'm really more excited about this project because we're empowering other people and I get to watch and see what they do.
Well, and that's the thing, is that I think that what I'm kind of most excited about this is that deaf individuals are already using cannabis. They're already communicating with each other about cannabis. It's just that there's not really a nice, consistent, established group of signs that, you know, if they're working with an interpreter, if they want to go talk to their doctor about it, or if they, you know, things like that, where there's just not this nice, consistent signing mechanisms. And you know, I'm not saying that all of American Sign Language and all of English are this corresponding gorgeous thing, but just that if there could be a little bit more established language around it, then I think that there could be a little bit more discussion, whether it's just within the deaf community or with the deaf or with the medical community or whomever it may be.
Well, and I've come to know of a really great group out of New York called ASL Core that puts up video glossaries again of verbiage that's just not out there.
Yeah.
And they have people doing a lot of different things. And I see this along those same lines. Again, it's not us saying what needs to be done.
Right.
It's deaf professionals that let us know this needed to be done. It's about empowering them and giving them the tools they need.
Well, and it's not our language. It's not
not-
our language.
not
It's
at
not our
all.
culture. And so I think that I'm really excited to see where they go with it.
I'm so excited to see
I'm-
where they go.
I'm excited to see where this education, particularly the two brothers with the hemp farm, I'm really excited to see kind of how that
That
goes,
is
and
so
just
cool.
their perspective of not only being in the cannabis industry, but it's the hemp industry, and it's this farming and agriculture in addition to cannabis. And so I'm really curious and interested to see how and where kind of the direction of the group of certified deaf professionals, I'm really curious to see where that kind of takes their discussion, in that I feel like hemp is one of those things that if you're not super into cannabis, it's a nice foot in the door. It's a nice kind of transition thing of, oh, this is cannabis. Is it marijuana? No, it's not that. And so I'm really excited to see what that's like, but also what signs are already existing out there within the deaf
Well, and that's what
community.
they're looking at too. They've been working on that for months, kind of trying to pull together and talk to other people and find out what other signs exist, because it is funny. There are a few there's a dispensary in Southern California that has a really nice like little walkthrough, and they have somebody signing and helping people understand, but all the interpreters on the team are like, I don't understand his sign for cannabis. Like, I've never seen that sign before. We now know he's doing that sign because he, like you, brought in things like your name.
Yeah, my name's
But and he brought in his term for cannabis, but they were like, wow, that's not something we've seen
That's a new
before. And so it is kind of that thing. What is out there? What is going on? And
Well, do you have one for capsules, sublinguals?
Well, and that's the thing, is that there are a lot of
topical,
existing
right,
there are a lot of
you know.
existing medical terms for
Right.
a lot of these different delivery systems. It's I think things like endocannabinoid system, they've got, system is its own thing, and then there's, medical systems and things like that. But I think for a lot of it, it's going to be creating understood acronyms, THC, CBD. These are things that they already have nice short acronyms that exist. I think it's going to be things like when you talk about different types of concentrates, well, you've got your shatter, your butter, your oil, your, all these different things, and how, I mean, again, I don't have my pulse on the deaf community and what they're using for all of these different words, but I imagine it's a lot of finger spelling, but maybe there's some fun signs going on. Butter.
yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. You know what I'm thinking about this? Maybe cannabis having a sign of its, I don't know. What would you
I've
do?
We'll
been-
see what
I've
they're
been
going to come up.
thinking
They'll
of
come up with one, is what I'm guessing,
Yeah.
for something like cannabis. But
I would think so, but
But,
when
I
I was interpreting just that little short bit for you earlier, I just cannabis every time,
yeah,
because it's not this.
No.
It's
Yeah.
not that.
no.
And it's
Yeah, and wouldn't it look better if she was constantly doing this, as we were talking
And
about
I can't
cannabis?
stand that.
Yeah.
I absolutely cannot stand that.
And yet it's a great sign. Travis, boardroom.
Yeah.
not to say that there aren't appropriate uses for it.
I'm
like,
saying
well, we
that
are
again, but I
working,
don't. But I don't think that again it justifies. How I'm using it as a patient most of the time. I'm not always smoking.
Yeah.
Right.
And again, it early on was a slang term, but I think some of those slang terms stay in vocabulary. I mean, they always do. And I'm not here to say what they need to develop and how they need. None of these things. These are all experienced professionals. What we want to do is help provide them the opportunity to learn as much as possible. They can then process that amongst themselves,
Right.
and then work together. And they will be doing that for several months. This isn't like we're going to come out on October 20th and have have sign language.
Right.
It's a process, but we're at the beginning bits of that process, and we absolutely need donations. And if you go to Signs for the Times, you can scroll down and see the PayPal donate button, and we'll be giving away some gifts for those who go donate during the show.
And I lost my train of thought. What I'm doing, if you're wondering what I'm tearing apart, we've got a bunch of people that's joined, and I have written down your names, and let's give away something. I've got 2 more to tear off. So if you're listening and you haven't written your name down, you better hurry up. So what are we going to give away first? We're going to give away an Amelia Trowel. We are going to give away a tea. What do you want to do?
Ooh, how about a t-shirt? That sounds fun.
A T-shirt? I didn't know we had
Oh,
T-shirts.
no,
a
a tea.
a tea,
Yeah.
a tea, a real tea.
A tea. And
Hemp tea.
yes.
And again, these are great. You're gonna.
And there's two of each. I like the rosy red and the yerba mate, but then tummy ache time, it's the ginger. I just love them all. Just
And it's
them all.
hemp flowers.
Yeah.
It's not an oil. It's not
No,
Nope.
an isolate.
no. She showed me the
I won't
hemp that
open
she
it.
uses. I think
Like here's our write up on it. Those are the ingredients. The
we
rosy
won't
red.
take them out of the bags
No.
so you can see.
Oh, that's
These
nice.
nice little tea bags. There's 2 of each.
And you can reuse them.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, you can make good 3 cups of tea out of
You
one
can.
bag. I did that the other night at the New Volution, and I had first the chamomile, and then I had the yerba mate, and I had to stop on the way home and go to the bathroom.
Means you're hydrated.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, good job. Good job. And the tea, the mixed tea, is in all of our special book packages. So, you know,
It's
'cause-
great.
Yeah.
It's great tea. It's one of the best teas I've tried.
Yeah. So,
It
what
doesn't-
would be the sign for tea?
Tea.
Tea.
New tea bag and new tea.
There you go. There you go.
I know tea.
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 And all of
That's the
her
letter.
flour is small farms, organic here in Colorado. And yeah, so if you want to support small businesses, absolutely get that. All right, so I've got all these little pieces of paper. Let's pick us one.
Let's see. We're gonna mix them up.
Yeah, I was going to get my candy dish and I forgot. So,
All right, this one.
Dutter, 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 dutter,
Da, da,
dutter,
da, da,
dutter.
da.
Justin.
All right, Justin Duncan.
All right.
You get some tea.
Nice.
That's good.
Awesome.
That's good.
Enjoy
We'll
your
do
tea.
like Grandma. We'll put the name in it,
There you go.
Oh, you
so
got a candy
so
dish.
you know
There's my candy dish.
you
it'll
make
be
that?
on its way.
Yeah. There we go.
Wait, do what with this? I was
Just hand it
distracted
to
by
me.
the phone.
There we go. Now, if you share this, we're going to enter your name again. So, is anybody sharing it? Not yet.
Go share.
Go share it. Share it. That'll enter your name again.
Yeah,
So-
share it. Let us know you're here, and we'll have other prizes
Right.
coming up.
We do have more prizes.
We do.
Let's get back to another book. Which one out of you? If somebody was going to go, okay, I need one to really get me started.
I think the Survivor's Guide to Medical Cannabis.
I do
Yeah,
too.
I'm so proud of this. Again, I was really proud of the ECS Therapy Companion Guide, but it was still a jump for people to understand that ECS stood for endocannabinoid system. And so while it tied nicely with the nonprofit, it was still a jump. But the thing was, is people started emailing me when I started going out and selling the book, or they buy it from random off Amazon. And they would it began with, I'm a survivor because I read your book. I survived this or that. I'm surviving was always a part of their message. And so it almost, within a year, was like, oh, when I redo this. And I knew I was going to already have to update it because as soon as I published it, I learned new stuff that needed to go in. And so many things have happened. So in that 3-year period, I really validated the information that book held around dosing and other things. But during that time, this industry really cranked it. And so we have nano-emulsification. We're seeing a lot of different things we weren't seeing. And we learned a lot more about hemp, about CBD that I hadn't included in that beginning. And now for a lot of people, they could start there, legal access, and then it's enough.
Right.
It's really a miraculous plant. Cannabis does the heavy lifting. It's a thing that Sunil Agrawal always says. Dr. Sunil Agrawal. I steal that from him because it does do kind of the heavy lifting. And I just give people the basics. So you can either flip to a page that is where your condition is. Or if you can't find it, you can go to the one that says, well, what if I have something else? But you can also go through and read about the endocannabinoid system.
Right.
Why this plant
Well, I
in these
love the way
things.
you structured it, because that's it starts off with chapter 1, that's your endocannabinoid, and then photocannabinoids. So you get the products down pat, but there's 258 topics in this book.
Is there?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I just looked at that. I'm like 258.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Pages, yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
So in degenerative, I need to reread this. I wasn't able to read all the way through it yet. I skimmed it to start with, but I would say this has to be my favorite one so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's that thing of, this is the book I was looking for when I got sick, and I would have liked to know what do I do now. I think this might help me. Here I got this bag of cannabis. What do I do with it?
Right.
Like, besides smoke it, what do I do with it? Well, this even has recipes to tell you what to do with it and get you started. And if I wouldn't have known that, I would have made progress much sooner in my health. So it was kind of that thing of just being a student in a book nut anyway, of being like, I need a book for that.
Right.
Here it is.
Well, it was funny. We brought that up with Michelle. When I got cancer, I was flying in and out, and I was going to her meetup. And then the science meetup, and then other meetups, just needing answers and resources. If somebody had gone, here, you need this book, I would have saved a lot of dang money.
Well, the thing is I'd spent years on the internet and reading clinical trials and other scientific data by that point. There was at a point in time where I just had folders and folders of research PDFs, and it was... again, I was in a PhD program, and I was studying, and I was doing all my classwork and all these things, and then I was online trying to figure out how to save my life.
Right.
And also trying to figure out, well, how does this work, and why does it do that? And that had nothing to do with my PhD. So when I published the ECS Therapy Companion Guide, like mid-PhD, people in my program were like, what the hell? Like, how did you do that? But it was really, I think I was desperate. I was just really desperate. And when I was going to a new market, I wanted to be able to train and educate people. So I took those things I'd learned, and by the time I put it into a training program, I was like, I really got a book. And then I just kind of kept moving it. And I've sold, that title sold, almost 7,000 copies, mostly at events, which is a really big bestseller, truthfully. And because books don't sell well typically, and this book is already over 1,000 sold, and it just came out in July. We've soft introed it. I actually did my book release party at the Hanford Museum in Berlin, so that was really very...
And that was so cool. Well,
It was very cool.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about you going to Berlin, and that's your lunch party. How in the world did that happen?
Well, I was in Berlin 2 years before. I had gone to an integral theory conference because I'm also, it's part of my PhD.
Right.
And my dissertation, when you look at the medical cannabis recommendations, why so much information came out of it is because I used integral theory to frame it. And it helps you pull apart things like the social and the cultural, the relational, and then how you process that.
Right.
And so when you take somebody's story, we all talk really a lot more about our social and cultural than we think. And so anyway, I used that frame, and I had gone there to present on a project that I had done. And I was the only cannabis person. So it was the first time in a while I had been outside of cannabis. And when I went there and I was speaking about cannabis, because that's how I had done my study, I started having doctors and holistic practitioners that had come from all over Europe to this integral conference. And part of that is because Ken Wilber, who lives here in Denver, is kind of the godfather of integral theory, but he's also the godfather of consciousness.
Nice.
And so he can meditate to the point that he can stop his brain waves. He's really quite an interesting person. A friend of mine that I see from Germany told me that's why he wanted to meet Ken Wilber. He was just mystified that somebody could meditate that deeply.
Status.
Yeah, Jedi status. And I got introduced on the other side, this academic side, and came to really appreciate, some of those things too. But that all aside, so it brought these interesting group of people together. And a number of them came together and funded me to be able to come back to Germany and to speak about cannabis, because they had just medicalized but their doctors were of the belief they should be educated before this came out, right?
Right.
That would be nice.
Right.
And so I got an opportunity not only to do that, but they funded my trip. I was able to go to the ICRS conference and go to Europe twice that year, which was phenomenal. And but the thing was, I went to the Hanff Museum on one afternoon when they were done with me, and I'd done all the work I could do, and I had like the evening at my hotel, and then I was flying back to the States. I decided to go to the Hanff Museum, and I just fell in love with this little place. And I think the thing that touched me the most is they had pictures, and now they've blown them up into poster size, but they had pictures that were from a school book in the 1880s. And it shows little kids out running through a hemp field, and they're clapping, and birds are flying. And so I had a German friend read it to me, and basically it was the children's job at school. When they were given their recess, they were to run through the hemp field screaming as loud as they could and clapping their hands to scare all the birds away. But also got out all their energy.
Yeah.
And then they came back to class and they studied. So great German ingenuity there. Like, how do we get work out of the children?
How do we keep the birds off our
And
fields
keep the birds
and
off
get the best bang out of our buck out of recess?
Because I tell you
Right.
what, bird seed. I mean, they used to put hemp seeds in bird seeds.
Absolutely, because they
And my
love it.
parrot loves it.
That's right. I forgot you have a parrot
Oh,
too. I
yeah.
have a bird also. I
Yeah,
forgot.
yeah. Oh, she's-
Yeah, so it's wonderful. So when you did that, it was these things of there's history beyond what we even have here that was touchable, that I could see. There were pipes from, one of them was found in Shakespeare's garden, you know, and things like this that were things that were very tangible to me that just made me go, I fell in love with this little place. And I spent probably 3 or 4 hours in this tiny little, museum. And so when it came time to release the book, I knew I was going to be traveling between the Netherlands and the ICRS conference this year and a sex research conference that was in Spain. So Germany's in between, right?
Yeah.
And I needed to do a book release party. So I called them, and they were so thrilled to host it. And it gave me a chance to have friends from all over the world come, and it was just great. And my youngest son and my oldest grandson were with me. So 3 generations of my family got to celebrate together.
Nice.
It was really lovely. So hard earned.
Yes.
But really, again, just continuing to make history. So now my books are in their museum, and I'm quite pleased with that.
Oh, that's just too cool. That just,
It is. It's a great life.
That
This is
such
a great life. I'm really
Yes.
very blessed. When you pioneer in something, you get to do a lot of things and be the first and really kind of set a pace. And I'm a curious sort, and when you tell me I can't go and do something, I really do want to do it even worse. So
that's
I've
neat.
made a whole lot of firsts and done a lot of things. Again, the classes I'm teaching this year are accredited by the American Academy of Family Physicians. I'm the first in their history to have classes on the endocannabinoid
That is
accredited for
wonderful.
physicians.
Awesome.
And so any doctors can come to my classes, and if they're AFP members, they can just log in and pick up their CME credits. But when I applied for that, when I started talking to doctors and going, this is how I'm accrediting, they're like, oh, well, you will never get that. I'm like, really? I would, so I did. I applied, and I kind of waited for that decline, and I instead, really well put together. I got kudos on well referencing, and I have good classes, and again, they're well accredited. And so we offer the clinician certification for people who want to work with people with cannabis or their endocannabinoid system and understand it better. And this deaf professional team that's coming in will go through that training along with my first group of trainers. So I have people coming from all over the United States. Some of them have paid for a ticket, and some of them are volunteering time to raise awareness and funds for Science for the Times. And they will be licensing the curriculum and teaching it. And, I can't just be the only trainer. We've
Right.
got to have more there. And it's, a really sought after class. So I'm really excited that we're able to do that.
Right. Well, and I think it's exciting for the movement, just the fact that you got that.
Yeah.
That shows how far we've come
Yeah.
as an industry and a movement that, doctors are finally realizing, yes, we need this information.
Yeah.
I see it as irresponsible. Yes.
Oh, and Science for the Times, make a donation. Brian, have you seen donations come through on PayPal?
Hopefully.
Not yet.
I'll do it.
Oh,
be the
Travis
first
is
one.
going to pull the trigger. He's going to go make a donation on PayPal.
I'm gonna go to Signs for the Times.
I'm going to show him how easy it is. .org. ScienceForTheTimes.org.
Okay. I just hit the big donate now button.
Here, let's go right down here. Look at this one and how pretty. Donate now with the pretty little
With
PayPal.
the little PayPal, the blue PayPal thingy.
It's
on
that
it.
button right there. Oh, and it comes up. Look at that. He pulls out the credit card. I like a man who pulls out his credit card.
Well, we got something exciting that's going on between Veedverks and you.
Yes, very exciting.
Very exciting. One of the reasons why I am so proud to work at this company is, one of the core principles is education. It's why we do the shows that we do. It's why we take the time to, really educate our stores and what have you. And so there was an experience that happened to me. I was in a store and the store owner was just like, I don't know what to say. I know there's legalities behind this, how do you handle it? And I just basically I said, if it was me, I would have Regina's books, and I told him about you and how I would have your books in your store.
Yeah, 25 years of human resources is my
Right.
background, and being able to point and say, not have legal liability, they give that information
Yeah.
in that book that I sell
Yeah.
versus giving, because store owners can't provide medical
No.
information.
And we can't either.
No.
We have to go by generalized or go, well, our reviews say, because we have to be so
There.
careful. So not only are we encouraging our stores to carry your books, but we are carrying your books.
Yeah,
And
I'm excited about that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I, when I was doing the price and getting everything ready, I made sure good prices because we want, the people that follow us and our customers to have the best information possible.
Yeah.
And so that's why I called you at a ridiculous time of the morning and said, hey, guess what? I've got a great idea.
Yeah, and people can go online today and get 15% off.
That's right. It's 15%
any
off
of the bundles, and today you're donating the proceeds from the bundles to this. So for Science for the Times. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yes.
I'm excited actually as I'm looking at it. I give my own books for Christmas, obviously, because I'm cheap and I'm broke, but I'm thinking, God, my mom is going to be really excited about this. I see my mom now buying, instead of just taking the copy I gave her, like buying some for her friends because they come with the other items.
they come
Because
with fun
she's
things.
now telling people, she's a retired Tulsa, Oklahoma public school teacher. And
Right.
she's now talking to other school teachers. You don't have to get high.
Right.
You don't have to smoke this.
Right.
And this is great. And again, the topicals really bridge that. My mom had a rash on her arm when I went home. I was mad at her. I go, she was like, I've had it for like 9 months. I've been through like 3 prescriptions and this and that. And I literally just took her arm, rubbed some salve on it, and then I make it home. But I didn't have something because I mailed her this after.
Oh, okay.
But it was that thing of she was the next day, she's like, oh yeah, that's like 50% better overnight. And it was like, oh, Mom. But it is keeping something like this with her and her, using it. For my friend Gretchen, her dad now, he's got some caregivers coming into his home a few days a week. But she goes over there, she goes, and he'll forget just to have them rub this on his hands because he can't hardly move them by the end of the day because of arthritis. And if they'd rub them on in the morning, afternoon, night, those are the days he can grip and do things. And the days they forget, she always knows.
Right.
And it's that simple. He doesn't think of it. So she keeps it right beside him, hoping, he'll think of it more, but also just to remind the caregivers, please use this. It works. It helps.
My doctor I felt like a show and tell last time I went to the doctor because she had other doctors come in. They took the braces off and they said, look, there's no swelling on her hands. And I told them, I said, well, I take it internally, apply it, and they were just amazed because my hand should just be just awful. And there's just none.
Yeah.
Almost to the point to where I wonder, some inflammation is good for the body. It is, repair. But
Well,
so let's-
CB1 is responsible for causing inflammation. And I think of it like this: if you cut your finger, we get a good paper cut right now, you're immediately going to have a CB1 receptor response, and it's going to get red, and it's going to swell. That's your inflammation.
Right.
And then as it begins to heal, your CB2 receptors begin coming in. That's your immune system. They start to, as it heals, reduce that inflammation. And so there's a piece in both of those. So for people that have inflammation that's gone awry, it's stuck in the CB1 receptor mode and it won't move.
Right.
And so when we get them on cannabinoids, they get that reduction in inflammation. And inflammation is attached to pretty much any chronic illness, but even depression can be simply inflammation within your body.
Right.
A lot of that's diet driven and other things we know, but that all boils down to not having homeostasis. That's an endocannabinoid system issue. And some people don't get inflammation enough. That would be, a CB2 issue. Cannabis will help them balance that out too, so they get, what they need.
In fact, they did bring that up. Is it too much?
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's talk about our packages that you're going to help raise money today. This is for. All right. I'm gonna make you hold everything because I have braces. All right. So you get a book.
You get a book.
You get a box of tea. So you can sit down and have this talk.
This is the name of the guy, Justin, that won it. This is Justin's tea, so we won't sell it.
No, you can't have Justin's tea. He knows where we are. He'll come looking for his tea. Now this is our Amelia
He's
starter
asking
kit.
for the PayPal information.
I gave it to him. Or I just said I went to the.
Want me to hold this one?
I just
Go
went
to
to
signs
the.
for the,
Just go to that,
Okay.
and it's.
So
It's the second donate button down.
right.
An Amelia product,
An
which is
Amelia.
a great topical. You guys you gave me a sample of that a few months ago. Really awesome. I love the way it absorbs right into the skin like it does. So many of them are really greasy, and yours is not. It's really a lovely product. Good job.
Just does its thing, gets in there,
And that's really big with women too, because they don't want anything that's going to be greasy and stain their clothes. But that's a perfect present for an aunt, your mother, your grandmother, to get them started. They have a tincture. It's 500 milligram tincture. You have your topical, and then you have your teas and the book to get them started.
Yeah.
And
Just give them a basis of it.
And that's this one I would say is a little more in depth. This is for somebody.
Yeah,
That's,
this is an introduction to. It's just enough to get somebody started and thinking about it. If they get really serious, Survivor's Guide is obviously really good for that.
Okay, let's show that one. Now
which
the
is this
Survivor's
one.
Guide is the Survivor's Guide Medical
Oh,
Cannabis.
we're still gonna have tea.
Yes.
I
You
love the
get
tea.
a CBD isolate, an Amelia, and a Flora's 250.
Awesome.
So that's your Survivor's Guide.
Nice.
That's a great package too.
Yeah, that is. So that covers everything. And this is so versatile. You can make your own anything with that, suppositories to cookies.
Well, and I talk to people all the time who are using medical cannabis and using THC, but they're not feeling like they're getting, enough CBD. This is a great way to supplement.
Right.
And when you've already got the other cannabinoids and stuff running into your system, you still get that entourage effect with it, Right. And even alone, it's an amazing thing what CBD isolate will do. I've got a friend, you were talking about, you were rubbing it in your mouth, and I was thinking about a friend, because she had a tooth that she needed to have pulled, and she was just putting it right on. She was like, it's an amazing thing. It kept her from having to end up in the ER over the weekend on pain pills. She was able to make it till the Monday after her tooth broke on Friday night.
tooth pain's the worst.
Oh, yeah.
And she just was taking little bits, and she would put her finger in it and she'd stick it on her tooth, and the isolate was just helping reduce the pain and sensitivity enough that she, it still hurt,
Right.
but it wasn't that kill me tooth pain.
Right. Please just cut my whole head off. Yeah, I've had that.
Yeah.
All right, and we do have a big package, which is all 4 of your books: the Amelia, the tea, and the HM.
Yep.
So
you can blow it out of the water, or you can go small.
absolutely.
There
so
you
brought
go.
up terpenes, so I'm going to let you and Travis talk terpenes.
I like terpenes.
I like terpenes.
They smell so good.
All plants have them.
They do.
Isn't that fascinating?
It is.
I think that's really neat. My background's in botany, so I'm like, all plants have terpenes.
They do. They do. And it is funny, once in a while you'll smell cannabis and it's reminiscent of this or that
Yeah.
because of a similar terpene. And
Reminiscent of what?
of some other plant because of the terpenes, you know, or something.
Yeah.
And a lot of them you don't even really realize, like that mango has myrcene, you know. It's just in there. It has such a sweet flavor over the top of it that you don't notice that so much. But terpenes are really important. We just learned in the last year how important they are to our, THC is THC. It's actually pretty steady. The sativa and indica effects that we have, they're really terpene driven.
Right.
And so they're coming from your limonene and your alpha pinene and things like that are your sativa based. And then you've got kind of more your hybrids like your linalool, which is lavender.
Right.
And then you have myrcene, which is really how we distinguish something as indica realm.
Right.
And it's going to be relaxing. And there are other terpenes that may also be relaxing. Humulene.
Linalool also is really
Can be
relaxing. Like Johnson & Johnson's nighttime baby wash,
Right.
the purple bottle that says, look, with lavender, that actually kind of works. And
It does.
And that's kind of some of the
It's
same.
the terpene effect.
It's the terpenes.
Yeah.
Well, we had Marcy Marr on, and she has a degree in aromatherapy, and she's fascinating when it comes to, talking about the effects. And, aromatherapy, the people don't realize that's a medicine too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And so to be able to have it in the cannabis world, and that's another, important thing around here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
From everything from our pens to our lotions, are indicative of the strain.
That's great.
So, I did not know you had a botany degree.
Yeah.
Oh,
That is
Yeah. Botany. So I did American Sign Language and then was very science driven. And so I got my degree in biology with an emphasis in botany and genetics. And then that was when I decided that I didn't want to be a doctor. And what was I going to do then?
right.
The cannabis industry.
Yes.
That was the next thing. So
Well,
You help more people.
yeah.
On an individual basis than most doctors. I think.
I haven't quite. I don't know about that.
I don't know. You touch so many people educating them and they go touch others. It's a trickle effect.
Yeah.
It's a butterfly effect.
Yeah. You caught the attention of a little Bayou woman in Louisiana.
I'm glad.
That was just going through the meetups, and there you were, out there. And yeah,
What else are you gonna do
that's right.
other than get out there?
That's right. And it's still going on, and you still have your meet. In fact, you have a meeting
it is
tonight.
tonight.
I do. I have a meetup tonight.
What time? 6:30?
Starts at 6:30. It's at the Riverside in Boulder. And tonight we've actually got a presentation on energy use in the cannabis industry. It's one of those topics that a lot of people in the cannabis industry have this kind of, oh, it's a plant, we're helping the whole planet, and which is a lovely idea. However, a lot of indoor grows and things like that just use such a massive amount of energy, and so we're going to talk about that tonight. So anyway, that's
awesome.
that's the Boulder Cannabis Industry Meetup. So
Yep. And you have an amazing group. If I remember, if the ones still come, you have a lot of science-based people that come to your meetups.
Oh, it's a great meetup.
It
Well,
is.
I don't know. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that.
It's worth the drive to Boulder.
I don't know. Having a background in science, I'm kind of a stickler for science.
Right. Right. Well, I think all of us in this
Yeah.
little, we all kind of are. Well, we absolutely are. So, but I appreciate, that you're still
you.
going strong.
Oh,
And
I appreciate you saying so.
well, we are going to leave here probably around 3:30, and we're going over to Flores Mercantile, where we're going to take pictures of different cannabis family members enjoying hemp tea and looking at your book, and that's what I'm wanting to use for our ad campaign.
That's awesome. That'd be fun.
Our friends and our Canna family. So I couldn't think of a
so
more
will
beautiful
Canna family
model.
come out and be involved in
Yeah.
the pictures?
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That would be great.
I was being asked, we have somebody that's working with us on advertising, and I'm like, we need people all ages, sizes, creeds, and I got to thinking about it. I'm like, okay, Well, what about the actual people using it?
It's awesome.
Yes. So.
My favorite creed is Apollo Creed.
Right? Right.
Very cool.
Okay, so we have Adam Gardner needs to be added to. Let's give away something else. Anybody else? Justin Duncan has said something again.
And did you get Adam Gardner
Yeah, that's who I'm adding now.
and Amy?
Amy Reed. All right. Anne Marie, she's there.
Hey, Anne-Marie.
Hey, Anne Marie.
Love you so much.
I hope this isn't going to be one of those episodes where you play it back and we're all talking slow. 'Cause
Oh, that would be so
it's-
bad.
it's
So how are we sounding, everybody's?
do we sound weird?
Minez, you'll get. Let's see.
got
Menez.
See how slow that is? It's like, ugh.
That would be
Hopefully it's okay.
terrible if it is. We had Jordan Person on, talking about primal therapeutics, and when we went and played it back, we weren't all sounding like
Yeah,
this.
it sounded like the guy from Silence of the Lambs.
Yes. It
Puts the lotion on its skin.
So that was, yeah. But, it almost makes you wonder, or it'll be skippy sounding, or just something weird, or it'll stop going live just randomly.
Oh.
So, we kind of,
Or accidentally
yes.
done that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out.
Okay, let's give away something else.
You want to draw this one?
Yeah.
All right. here we go. All right, let's see. It is.
Oh, it's the name that Mendez?
Mendez?
Menez?
Menez?
Yagami?
Yagami, that's what I couldn't read. It's her writing.
It's not your name. It's her
It's my
braces.
writing.
Just look at her
Oh,
hands.
there
She's
you
got,
go. Menez, Yagami.
mayonnaise,
Menez.
accent aigu.
Please send me a message
Yagami.
and to the Veedverks Facebook so I can get your address. So I can
You're gonna
send
have
that
to
to
reach
you.
out to her.
Yes. I will
Like, don't
find
put it
her.
on.
And so we have
her to-
Leslie.
or him.
Oh,
What are
no.
we sending?
Yeah. And what did we just win? Did we win an
Amelia.
Amelia? Okay. We have an Amelia. All right. Let's see. Do I have everybody? I don't think I have a Nicole.
She made a donation.
Did she?
Yay, thank you, Nicole.
Nicole.
Oh,
we
thank you.
appreciate it. Every bit helps.
Thank
This
you.
week, we have 3 airline tickets left to buy. We need to get those purchased, so for the team to get here. So I'm very excited about that. And then we're off to, pulling together hotel accommodations and those kind of things. We're going to rent a van to keep transportation costs down,
Right.
and be able to transport them around town together. Uber gets expensive.
Well, a van would be good, because
Yeah.
conversations and
Yep.
what have you, keeping the group together. And
Yep, it'll be great.
so, how many altogether are coming in?
Well, the entire class, we're going to have about 24 people. There will be about 7 from the Science for the Twins team. Again, we
That's a
have
good
some
group.
volunteers, that are interpreters that are volunteering. We have people coming in for the training that have also, many of them have also been volunteering. So we're excited.
Right. Well, we going to wrap up probably here in about 8 minutes.
Okay.
So, let's talk about these some more of why we want to do tincture. You want to talk layering?
Yeah.
Of why we put these together as a package.
Yeah, I think, it's important for people, again, to kind of get to a therapeutic dose with cannabis. And when you first begin and you're taking these little 5 or 10 milligram doses 3-4 times a day, that doesn't mean you're at a therapeutic level.
Right.
I mean, it's a starting point. So the target that I give everyone to start with, to get you to a minimum therapeutic dose of cannabinoids, is 1 milligram per kilo
Right.
of your weight. So whatever you weigh, divide that by 2.2. That's pretty much your daily, that you're trying to get to. And you can't do that right off the bat.
No.
So you began with these 5 or 10 milligram doses, and every week or so you increase that just a little bit until you hit that dose over a period of time. But if you're using a basic tincture to get started, it's so nice because they work quickly, sublingually. So you can put 1-2 drops under your tongue. If it's not enough in 10 minutes, you can put another one. And if it's, right, then you're good. But you get that opportunity to try it. And people have to get over their fears of cannabis. A lot of people now, again, I think, who time for the talk and these products are really geared at, what this is introducing somebody who's new to this and starting them very comfortably. I tell this story. I worked with a woman in New Mexico just as a patient, and I was helping a medical cannabis doctor's clinic. They'd asked me, could I use some extra money? And at the time I was desperate and sick, and I was like, yes. And I helped them just do a traveling clinic down in Roswell, New Mexico. But at the time, a woman came in with her entire family. She was in her 70s, so her daughters were in their 50s and 40s, and she had grandchildren in their 20s, and then she had some babies along. And they all sat and waited with her for several hours because she had been quite nervous about coming and doing this. But the thing was, her actual physician had already told her she needed to use cannabis. She just needed to go and pay for this evaluation because he couldn't write that recommendation. He was prohibited, but she was dying and she really did need this. And so over the course of the day, I got to sitting and chatting with her and one of her daughters, and she let me know just how scared she was. But one of the things that she was talking about was, she needed some help getting some seedlings or some plants because her husband was going to grow her cannabis for her in their shed out back, and she was going to make tincture out of it. And so that's what she would use. And I was like, well, that's great, but that's 4 or 5 months down the road. What do you mean? Well, you have to grow the plants and you have to make the tincture, and you're dying now. I was in Albuquerque and she was in Roswell, and there wasn't a dispensary there open at the time. So I said, well, we're back here in a week. I can pick some up at the dispensary and bring it to you, and you can just reimburse me, and we could do this legally. And so she agreed, and so I picked up a bottle of tincture that looked a lot, like this. And we went to her house, and I told her, I put it in my tea, and I always add a little cream, bind those cannabinoids, those fats. And we sat down to have tea, and she was really scared of getting high. I wanted to make sure that wasn't going to happen. So we put just the tiniest little 2 drops in her tea. And about halfway through that cup of tea, she just got this smile. She was like, I now understand what being high means. And I have to say, I don't know why I've been scared of this my whole life. This is the first time I felt good in years because she'd been sick. And she was like, wow. And the really interesting example she gave is one time she had gone to a convenience store. She needed to ask somebody directions. She was in another town and she was lost. And she goes, those kids that were standing out front were high, so I was afraid to ask them, but they'd have been so happy to help me. And she just started to laugh, and it was like, yes. And she was like, this is not what I was told it was. And so within 2 weeks, she'd asked me to come back and speak with her at her church to let people know this was an option she was taking because she suddenly felt better. But she also had some amazing health results. She's since passed. But she lived 4 or 5 years with a stamped expiration date of any day. You're going to die quickly.
Well,
and she didn't. And she didn't die painfully. And she had a lot of time with her family. It was simple things. And within a very quick time, she was very comfortable just putting the tincture under her tongue. But she had to get started there's such a good product for that because you really titrate it yourself. It's an empowering thing when you choose how much you use.
Well, and you can compare it to, I mean, if you went to your doctor and he started you on a medicine and they would start at the lowest dose and you would come back and see how you're doing, it's the same thought process. Start off at the lowest dose, see how your body reacts, and go from there. And, once they get that, it clicks in their head, that they're, because I remember the first time I took a capsule. I had flown in and gone to one of your meetings, and I had met with an oil maker. And I had told the front desk at the hotel that I was taking a new medicine, and if I wasn't up by 10 o'clock to please come check on me. I was terrified because my body reacts to plant medicines, just like pharmaceuticals. I'll have reactions. And here was this huge cancer dose, and I took it and I woke up at my normal 6 o'clock just fine. I wasn't still loopy, and I'm like, well, what the heck was I worried about?
Right. I have a really good friend who tells a story about, she runs an herbal edibles in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And Joanne tells this story, so it's fair to share it. But her husband passed away from cancer. Well, of melanoma. He actually didn't die of melanoma. The melanoma. Yeah, it responded really well to the cannabis oil. The doctor was actually literally removing pieces with tweezers, but he had liver failure from some of the pharmaceuticals that he had been prescribed during that year, and they had to finally make the decision to lower his cannabis to just treating his pain and letting him pass. But she tells the story because when her son made this first batch of cannabis oil, it was the first oil he'd made shatter and wax and other things, but he never made cannabis oil. And this was 2011, I want to say, 2011, 2012. And she was like, Reg, how much do I use? I'm like, I don't know. And she was like, I don't know either. So her sister was staying with them. And they decided, here's what they would do. They would each take the full gram a day. That's the worst case scenario, right? However high you're going to get is going to be based on you're going to take this gram. And he's not, by the way, ever used cannabis. She's a dabber. She's a smoker. She's she's making edibles. She's why she's making this company. It's been helpful to her health. But this is new. And he's just observed. He's never utilized. So she's like, we're going to take this gram, go to bed, and we're going to set an alarm for like 3 o'clock in the morning. When we wake up, we should be at the peak of our high, right? And this should be the worst it's ever going to be. And she tells this story about how David just sat in the bed when the alarm went off. He sat up and she went crawling down the hall to knock, because she didn't want to walk. She was so high. To knock on her sister's door. And she's just laughing. And she was like, it's all right. It's really a cool place here. And David, who's never been high in his life on cannabis, is just sitting in the bed holding his pill and just laughing. And he's a man who's just been told he's gonna die, and he's just laughing and laughing and laughing. And they shut the lights back off and they go back to sleep. When he wakes up in the morning, he's like, all right, I'll start with half that. And he started with a half a gram a day, which is a huge dose for somebody new. But all his fear had been taken out of it. This, am I going to get high? Am I going to be able to function? Well, he woke up the next day. He was over mostly. He felt a little loopy, but, not too bad. He was like, all right, if that's what it is compared to the chemo, that's nothing.
Yeah.
And it's a funny story, but it's that thing of, again, that's why I wrote the book. We didn't know how to titrate up and do it comfortably. We didn't have all these parameters that help people get there, and not have a really terrible, uncomfortable experience. He got very fortunate because he has a great wife, and she, she brought the fear, forward, and they dealt with it, and it'll let him let it go.
I have this fear over opioids.
Oh, I'm scared to death of opioids.
I'm scared to death. They write, I'm like, what is this going to do to me?
When I was in the hospital after having the bowel resection in 2011, I spent 3 days in a recovery room because they didn't have an ICU bed for me. And there were a number of times that when I woke up, there was a nurse standing right here And I'm like, boom. And she'd been probably standing there for a while. She was like, you're breathing really shallow. We just wanted to keep a close eye. And that's why I was there.
Right.
And not on the floor, because I probably would have just died on the floor. But it was that thing of, with all the medicines they were giving me, and I had lost 40 pounds in less than 24 hours pretty much through this horrific surgery. I mean, by the time I checked into that hospital at 138 pounds, I checked out of that hospital 3 weeks later at 101 pounds. And I had gained weight the last few days I was there because I was finally consuming again. So it was this downward thing of, and opiates really messed me up. And so it was like they were constantly there checking. No one has to do that with me on cannabis. I can take, if I'm in a lot of pain, I can take a big dose and go to bed. I'll wake up.
Yeah.
I'll wake up fine, and I'll feel so much better for having done that. Once in a while, as a fibro patient or something else, I just have to reset myself.
Right.
You know?
I get you. I'm doing the same thing.
But I know that I'm dosing with food that's not going to harm me. I can totally do that, where I can't go take an opiate and go to bed. I need to let my son know, so he'll come check on me.
Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a safety protocol when we take opiates, you know. You know, it's just like my son's rescue medicine for seizures. I need somebody calling 911 as I'm administering it.
Yep.
You know, because it could kill him. His rescue med.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know. So,
Absolutely.
Not to mention, it's a suppository, and he's way bigger than me, and it's almost impossible. It would be impossible. I've never had to do it. Thank God I've never had to do it. Because I probably couldn't. You know, I probably really couldn't. Because he's 6 feet, 250. You know. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to do it to a child. You know, in a seizure, you know,
during a seizure
situation.
It's a whole different
You're going to put a suppository in somebody? You know, it's just not
it's a tough
convenient.
One. No, and I've heard this from parents again too.
Yeah.
It's interesting too because when I first got involved with this with parents here in 2013, that diastat they get as a rescue medicine. Well, they get it once they break the seal on it. You got to get a new one.
Yeah,
but it can sit there, but it does expire. So it was so interesting because they had been getting 2 or 3 of these sometimes a month.
Yeah,
and they're like, "Wow, that diastat expired. I don't know what to do." It's like, get another one.
Right.
And then their insurance didn't want to fill it because then they weren't having the rescue issues. But it's like, but they're doing that and they're not paying for your cannabis. But yet they're getting, there's this benefit. And some of them would, really push it and insist because you got to have a backup. They've had a backup all these years. They get it refilled and they get it. And by the time the next one expires, they're like, I'm good. We don't need that. Now we don't need that. We now know exactly what we need to do. Because so many times their kids spent days, if not weeks, in ICU after a seizure because of the diastat. Because it could kill them.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, it shuts their respiratory right down.
That's why it's so dangerous. And here you're trying to get your child out of a dangerous, life-threatening situation and by giving them another life-threatening situation when it would be so much easier if it was an eye drop or a tincture or,
nose spray.
Nose spray.
The nasal sprays, and we were talking about that they're pushing to try to take those away here. I know Amy Dawn, Hildebrandt with AMR really came out strongly opposed to that. And God bless her. She's got 3 children who she knows. And when you fought so hard to move your family from Oklahoma to Colorado, and you have fought, she has gone to the state house on so many issues around her children's health and helping other families not to have to go through what she has. For them to want to pull your first line away from you, they don't understand. Again, people don't understand that. Again, it's why I'm so excited again to have the Amelia and the tea in with the time for the talk. That's not how most people's aunts or grandmas or mothers. My mom is just so excited about what I'm doing in this because she's a scientist, but and a botanist as well. But she is one of those of she just I kind of resisted that. Now I'm all about it and I understand it. And not just this plant, but many plants have healing powers. And again, I love Flora's teas because she's bringing together really good ingredients in the types of ways that can be very healing for you.
Right. Well, and these are herbs that I grew up on, because I was born this way, not able to take medications. So, but, getting back to the nasal spray, as an adult or as a teenager, and you're going into a seizure episode, the first thing as a seizure patient, you lose your dexterity.
Yeah.
And you're very clumsy. So what would be the easiest thing if I felt a seizure coming on is that in my mouth, or some of this, or I could handle the nasal spray, to stop my own seizure, and so it's got to be designed for independence.
Yeah, that's
Got
true.
to be
You know?
designed with the patient in mind.
With the patient in mind, I'm sorry, people with epilepsy live wonderful lives. I'm one of
Absolutely
them,
do.
but we have to be able to take care of ourselves in an emergency situation, and is it adaptable for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a conversation.
Well, I talk about dexterity issues and things around using cannabis all the time because we're not always really friendly to people who have dexterity issues, and so many people do.
I had that conversation the other night at the dispensary. I need to have a certain oil, but it's a twist up thing. And I said, I cannot open this. I would love to buy this product. I have it, but I can't get it out. It's excruciating. It's no good to me.
I've had this conversation too. My son opens a lot of my concentrates, and we don't put the lids fully back on because I seriously cannot open them. And it frustrates me because now that has changed because I currently do have a child residing in my home. But for the last several years, I have not.
Right.
And if I went to the pharmacy and they were giving me Oxycontin, I could say, I'm sorry, I don't have children. Don't put a childproof cap on it. And they'd be like, okay,
No
here
problem.
you go.
No problem.
And I can't have that option at a dispensary. It's you take it this way,
Right.
or you don't get it. Well, I have literally cried trying to open concentrates. I'm in pain. I have an e-nail heated up. My pain would be gone in 5 seconds if I could just manage to get the effing top off.
Right, right.
Or
I don't
the
know if
package
it's like
open
my-
that it's sealed within. I have a lot of packaging issues. I really think somebody in Colorado with the state legislature has a family in packaging, and that's why we keep getting these kind of things. I know that's kind of snide, but politics works how they do. And to me, it's ridiculous that instead of getting, like, say, an ounce of shatter in a really pretty little clear envelope container that we can take, and it's all biodegradable, maybe even made of hemp, that it's in a glass and plastic thing inside another plastic thing, and then I have to have it in a fucking plastic sealed
in
envelope
a cardboard thing
to
and-
leave. And it's like, by the time I can't get the envelope open that I walked out of the dispensary with, and yes, I have cut them open with scissors.
Oh yeah, that's totally how. The one with the little thumbprint sign on the corner
Yeah.
with the fuzzy, I open those by cutting that corner off.
Yeah.
That's
So,
stupid.
and then I've got to open the packaging, and those new packages where you have to pull them apart with 2 to 7, I can't do that.
I can't do those either.
I am 55 years old today, and I cannot do that. And I don't have a lot of the dexterity issues you do. I have simple arthritic issues and just weakness issues. I am not profoundly disabled, and I can't open them.
Right.
And so that frustrates me a great deal. So yeah, the scissors now live by my medicine station.
Cut the corner off.
But you can't push down and turn with scissors.
Oh, heck no. Oh, heck no. And that needs to be addressed as well. And I'm really hoping that the people that are running for offices in Colorado get the offices so we can start getting patient protections all the way down.
Yeah, there's a number of things I'd like to initiate.
Me too. Me too. Well, ladies, it's 3:00. We got another
Thank you,
party
and
to
thank
go
you
to.
for having us today, and
Thank you very much,
everyone.
Ann.
Thank you for donating. Thank Nicole. Thank everyone else who came out and support. And we'll be
Thanks for
sending
buying
you.
the book, Justin.
Yeah, we'll be sending you more, and we'll be sending you another email of thank you.
Justin donated.
Oh, and Justin
Oh,
donated.
and donated.
Thank you, and please, look at these packages and bundles. It's Christmas season. I think ahead and think about those people that you love and you want to empower. Because here in Colorado, we have a lot of education and information. Outside of here, not a lot of people do. So keep that in mind too, and share away.
Right. And welcome to Veedverks.
Thank you.
Cool. Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Share this.
Yeah, please share it. Look, this is a good cause, and it's a good just overall thing that they're doing. And
We got to give away something.
we got to give away something else.
We got to give away a 150 starter kit.
Anne Marie.
Oh!
Yay, Anne Marie. We will pick a special product just for you.
Yes.
Well, if that's
That's it.
all we got, then it's time.
It's time.
Thank you guys.
Right?
Right.
That's bathroom.
That's
Yeah.
bathroom.
That's what I'm
She's
saying.
going to the
It is that
bathroom.
too. It is time for that.
That was great.
That went very well. And we'll
Are we
keep
not
it-
recording
We're not
anymore?
recording.
Okay.
anymore.
Now that we got that part down.
Right? That was awesome. That was really cool. I actually